Hi everybody, Sunday morning after a very productive Saturday night. So I made that first video yesterday, which was Saturday. So there, I've done that pricking on there. I can't tell you how lovely it is, really, the texture. It's just lovely, and it's been said before when I've done pieces like this, that they're like almost like wedding cakes. And yeah, I suppose they are, but it also does remind me of lace, especially with these bullion loops. So I'm absolutely delighted with that. And I've stitched the seams of this like I said I would, with bullion loops. I haven't done any more embellishment on here. Now I use strips, remember. Don't forget, you could just use one plain piece of fabric and embroider, encrust the surface with embroidery to put behind your window. You know, that's entirely a personal choice thing. Don't think you've got to do strips, because you don't. But just remember to mark the shape, because if I'd have extended these knots all the way over here, when I came to put it behind the paper, it would be bulky, wouldn't it, behind the paper? It's going to be bulky anyway, but with a lot of hand stitch, it's obviously going to be more bulky. So that's something to remember. So now what I need to, and I've also pin pricked around here, around my opening, and that's because I'm going to need to tack this and baste this together. So my holes are decorative holes, but they can also be used for the tacking and the basting process, okay? But the first thing I need to do is tack my zip to this. So if I get my zip and lay it so that the edges are right alongside these bullion knots, and I'm just going to pin it at first. And another thing to say, shifts, it's the bullion knots get caught underneath. I haven't removed any tacking whatsoever from this piece of cloth yet. I'm going to do that when it's all put together, and that's because I need it to be together and not flopping opening areas. Like if I unpicked all the tacking from across there, then these edges would be loose, and I don't need that. I need it to be as stable as possible for this process. But having said that, when I come to unpick the tacking, there isn't going to be any pulling going on. It's going to be all about snipping and unpicking. And if anything doesn't want to come, if there's a chance that something's going to need a hard tug to come out, then it's going to stay in, okay? Because rather that than the whole thing crease or have a terrible accident, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to pin this for now and check that it sits behind that hole before I tack it down, okay? So now this side, I'm taking it as far up to the edge of these bullion knots as I can. Pins. Some of them like to get a mind of their own, these loops. So there. So if I just lay that like that and then bring this back over, now that fits within there perfectly, doesn't it? Okay. I'm not going to be stitching, I'm going to be stitching down there and down there. I'm not going to be stitching through that. I mean, I could maybe, actually. No, because I don't want that top row bullion knots to get lost. So the bottom end of the zip is probably going to get lost a little bit in there. But that doesn't matter. So my machine stitching is going to start there and end there, and start there and end there. And at the end of the day, I'm actually going to talk about how you'll have machine stitch lines on the top of here. You could add French knots, just to not disguise them, but just to enhance that area a bit more so that you don't notice the machine stitching as much. So I'll probably put a French knot in down here. Okay, right, so I need to tack that to that and take the pins out. Just get my basting needle, whoops. If I can find it. That's a bullion needle. That's not it. Where are you? I have got more than one, but I've only got one in my needle case. So I'm not going to put a knot in this, just a couple of over stitches at the start and finish. And the other thing to say, some of you might be wondering, if you haven't done a class with me before, why I didn't tack in a different colour to white, because the white is going to make it very difficult to see, to unpick. Well, the reason for that is I never tack in anything other than white, cream, off-white onto white, because even if you think you've taken all those tacking stitches out, say you used a pale pink or a blue, or even if you think you've taken all those stitches out, there's a very good chance that you've left fibres behind. And especially with me, because I take such a lot of photographs, those fibres come back to haunt you when you don't want them to. So that's the reason. I would rather struggle to get my tacking out than run the risk of leaving any coloured fibres in here. So with any sewing that I do, I only ever tack in white or off-white or ecru or something like that. Even on my Liberty pieces it just becomes habit, but then obviously white's very easy to see when you're doing it on that pattern fabric. So just very big basting stitches down here. I'm wondering if I need my bulldog clips, but I'm not so sure how I'd be able to clip them on, what area I could use, but I may get them in a second actually, just in case. And they're only in this room, they're in a drawer behind me, so I don't have to leave the room. And I got such a good reaction to those bulldog clips when I had them on my blog, and you know, I think I got them in a pound shop, but I can't honestly, if you put a gun to my head, I wouldn't swear on that, but I've had them such a long time. So that's that side basted now, so I'm going to come up and do the other side. Okay. So just two big over stitches to start. It's quite big, these basting stitches. It's not the neatest running stitch seam or hem. Now don't worry about trimming this yet, because the fact that it's got excess fabric going on here outside the zip may help me with my bulldog clips. We'll see. I'll get them in a second. And also the pricking I've done around here, it's just random pricking. It's not in a pattern like I've got going on there. But you can, there's nothing to stop you doing an organised pattern around there, you know, a set pattern. Mine's just random for texture more than anything. And I'm also thinking that if this piece grows much bigger, I'm going to need a bigger piece of mount board, which I'll have to mail order. So I might not be able to actually put it on any mount board in class, okay? But I'll play with that when it's finished and see if it's going to fit on one of those other ones. Right, so that's all my pins out, and that's all that tacking done now, okay? Now what I'm going to do now is something I think saves so much hassle. Still got tacking thread in here, and it's just fell out. Rethread my needle. I'm going to come around here, put that up there like that, because it's going to get in my way if it keeps flopping down, and just tie that up there so it doesn't drop down when I'm stitching, just to keep it out of the way, because I mean it would be a nuisance if it kept dropping down. So I'm just tying it there just to hold it in place so it doesn't get in my way when I'm doing something crucial. Okay. And cut that off. Right, now I need to get it in here, don't I? So I'll just do that and then I'll go and get my bulldog clips. Wait a minute. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure they're going to be big enough to reach in there. I don't think they are. It will hold it at the top. That may help. See, look on the top, you probably can't see it, it's quite faint. Was 50, oh, reduced, now 50p. So that's like half price in the pound shop. Although I still have to say, I can't remember. Just can't remember. So they're not going to be big enough to reach in there, are they? So what I'm going to have to do is maybe just pin it at the top. I'll just move my needle, I don't want to lose that. It might help, it might not. I can't see that it's going to make that much difference, to be honest. Right, and thread my needle with some tacking thread. So now I have to tack this. Now the thing is, I normally look at the back, don't I, for the holes coming back up again. But I can't really do that with this because there's no way I'm going to be able to see through all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm holding it now at the bottom. I'm going to go from there. See, I can't get down there because of that zip metal. So it's a case of finding your space. And I do think actually that if you do, it won't go through because it's so thick at the edge of the zip. So it's just, no, it's not going to go through at the bottom because you know this, I mean this is normal, trust me. You know at the bottom of a zip it's a lot thicker. It's kind of sometimes got a coating of plastic on it. So I'm just going to go down here and come up, and if I make an extra hole it doesn't matter, but fortunately it went through the hole that was already there. But if I'd made an extra hole it really wouldn't have mattered because that's the random texture, so it would have just added to that random texture. Now it's going to shift, so you're going to have to be careful. Go back through the same hole and come up. I came up just below it there, but it really doesn't matter because it's a random texture going on here. And then just the biggest stitches, because you want as little chance to wreck this as possible. So just big stitches, so you've got as few stitches as you can on the side. It's just to secure it while you take it to the machine. And again, don't forget you're working with paper here, so you've got to be careful. Now, I'm not going to use my zipper foot for this because I'm going to stitch it a little bit away from the zipper, although I obviously have to catch the zipper in this, so I can't stitch away from it that far, but hopefully I'll be able to use my normal foot because I'm actually a bit scared of my zipper foot. Come up again. Now what I'm going to do next time, if I can get this out of here, I'm just going to go back now down through one of these because I'm not going to go any further down with this on this side, and then come up again. It's just to make sure it's secure. I've actually come up through a hole there, so that's good. And go back down there and then do exactly the same up the other side. I'm going to take that clip off the top as well because it's neither use nor ornament. Didn't help at all. So I'll put that away. Right, I'll cut this off and then cut that off. I'm going to re-thread it because I don't want to be having to I'm going to put new thread in it because I don't want to have to be re-threading my needle halfway through this because it is such a fiddly task. Okay, so more thread in here, and then when I've done this I'm going to have to turn off and get my sewing machine on the table. I'll play a little bit with that foot to see if I'm gonna, because my foot might extend beyond the zip, okay, but the needle can be moved to closer into here. The needle's got different positions, so let's see if I come down here, and I'm a bit, actually this one, I might hold it in my hand because I don't want this one. So if I go down there, try and hold that zip as close to the edge of that paper as I can. And come up randomly. Doesn't matter that I've made another hole. Oh, I pulled it right through. Never mind. Do it again. It got caught on my bracelet. And come up here somewhere. I came up through a hole, so that's good. Go back down there. And come up again, up here somewhere, there. Right, and then lay it flat and just get a hold of it. I'm going to go down there now, quite a way away, over an inch away. Okay. And I'm just checking at the back that I haven't creased that fabric under there. And I'm going to come up here somewhere. Come on, Karen, what's wrong with you? So it's there, so I need to come up here somewhere. There, it's come through a hole. I'm really lucky, that's so lucky that. That's good luck, it's not good management. Right, and then go down there. Actually, go down there. Be careful what you're doing. If you pre-prick, be careful what you're doing very close to the edge, because you don't want to perforate that edge. That's why I moved away from that one. And then come up again. No, it doesn't want to, so I'm going to do it by hand again. So I'll put it down there. Whoops. And the thread's going to come up. It's caught on the end of the zip at the top. Have a glass of vodka before you start this, if you're of a nervous disposition. And then come up there. A bit close to the edge for my liking, that, to be honest. And then literally go down again, and then just come up there. Oops. And I'm going to go down one more time just because I want it exceptionally secure. So I'll rethread this needle. Now this is the easy bit, honestly, well, in terms of panicky and stressy, because believe me, when I get this to the sewing machine, I'm going to be sweating. I am. Right, now cut this off. Put that over there. Okay. And then go away and set my sewing machine up now. So I'll just put my needle away. Move these. I need to take this white thing off the table and put like a rubber mat on here. So, right, I'll be back in a sec. Right, here I am. Now, the first thing I did was check my spool thread underneath, because if I got part way down here and that ran out, I can't tell you, I'd be devastated. I don't want anything to happen that's going to interrupt the flow of the sewing with this. So I made sure there was enough thread in there. So I've got my normal foot on, and I'm going to go very slowly, and I've positioned my needle so it catches the paper and the zip. Okay, now I'm going to go very, very slowly. Keeping that edge of my foot right up against that zip. Now already I can see that I haven't pricked far enough outwards, really, but I can come back and do that later. I'm not even sure I'm catching the zip here, so when I get all the way down I'm going to have to check, and that's my fault for being a wuss and not wanting to use my zipper foot. Right, so take that out because that's that side done. Leave myself enough thread to tie it off. And I just need to check that I've caught that zip. So if I don't actually know. So there's my machine stitch line, and I can see underneath that I have all the way down, I've caught that zip. Okay, so that's okay. Phew, huge sigh of relief. And now it's this side. Making sure that spare fabric. Now this is going to be harder actually because of the width of the paper. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my foot down again. I'm going to start closer, further up this time. And I'm going to move my needle over that way a bit more. Right, and if I put it into the paper, I know that it's on that edge. And very slowly again. Don't ever ask me to put your zip in a pair of trousers because it just wouldn't happen. I mean, I know I haven't finished this yet and I've still got to take the tacking out and fasten the ends off and everything. But I panic about so many things, like when I'm turning a pillow right way out or I'm turning a wrapping cloth right way out. I've done this so many times but I still panic, and I think it's because I'm aware of what could go wrong. I think that's too much knowledge sometimes is a scary thing, and I think that's what it is. Because so far, touch wood, it's been fine. So I'm nearly there. Hallelujah. Right, so now I need to pull this around and turn that off. Now I'm going to move my sewing machine. I'll put that somewhere safe. I'm just going to lift it onto the floor at the side of me because I'm going to need it again in a minute. So if I put it there, I can't put the light back on because my sewing machine's plugged in there, but I think we're okay, aren't we? Well, actually no, I'll get up and unplug that and put the light back on. I don't want to run a risk that you miss anything, so I'll get my whiteboard back as well. Right, so get this over here. So I need to tie those ends off at the back. There's so much loose thread going on here, but I think I can just about make out which bit I need to pull through to tie that off at the back. Okay. And then I'm going to check with this one. I'm almost 100% certain that this got caught with the machine, on the zip actually got stitched, but I will check like I did with the last one, just to make sure. I'm just wondering if I should turn off and turn on again because this file size is going to be pretty big. I will. I'll just turn off and immediately turn back on again. I won't be a sec.